So match number 6, our main event of the evening, would see the UBW British Heavyweight title put on the line as the Square One champion TIG would take on the British Heavyweight champion, someone I'm very familiar with, an Essex Rescue favourite in Samuel St. Daniels. Now, I tried abusing him. He always ignores me. Oh, Samuel, one day you'll give me the abuse back, but I think you're above that, to be fair. Now, St. Daniels hit a shoulder tackle, which right from the start, which would send Tig flying, but Tig would respond with the same, and then St. Daniels would literally go to work on the arm in every way possible. Tig, though, would respond by sweeping the legs, hitting a double stomp, and then a running senton for a near fall, and St. Daniels would roll to the outside, and Tig would follow him, and we'd see them fight into the fans. Absolutely fight into the fans as St. Daniels would look to unload, but he'd inadvertently hit the chop the ring post. Tig would then hit him with an uppercut. Back inside, Tig would head up top, but St. Daniels would hit the ropes, causing Tig to drop down, then hit a corner drop kick for a near fall. And then at this point, St. Daniels would resort to pulling the hair, starting to wear down his opponent. Tig, though, he'd get back into things. He'd head up top again. This time, St. Daniels would deliver a chop and then grind Tig's face with his foot. Tig would respond with a T-bone suplex, and then he'd fire up. He'd head up top. He'd hit a flying crossbody for a near fall. St. Daniels would lock in the walls of Jericho, turn it into a Boston Crab. Somehow Tig would reach the ropes, and then these two men would end up out on the apron, spill out onto the apron and start trading. And St. Daniels would hit a powerbomb on the apron to Tig. He'd head up top. He'd hit a missile drop kick, followed up, but Tig would respond with an enziguri and a handspring, and then a brainbuster for a near fall. He'd carry on looking to unload, but St. Daniels would pull the referee in the way, causing the distraction, and then then resort to the dirty tactics with an eye gouge, followed up by a tombstone and a 5-star frog splash. And honestly, I thought it was over at this point, but somehow it was only a 2 3/4. At this point, St. Daniels would absolutely flip out, annoyed that he hadn't picked up the pinfall victory, and start to bend the rules. He'd even shoved the ref over. He grabbed the Square One title belt. He'd go to look to use it, but he'd miss, with Tig hitting the running high knee. But the referee was out of things. At this point, St. Daniels would hit the low blow and a powerbomb for a near fall. And somehow Tig managed to kick out. At this point, no. St. Daniels did lock in the Boston Crab that he then turned into a proper version of the walls of Jericho. But Tig refused to tap. So St. Daniels just picked him up and hit a vile spiked pile driver to pick up the pinfall victory and retain his title. What an epic match to finish the evening on, folks. These two talents just absolutely killed it out there. Absolutely killed it. It had to be a special main event, and it really was. I've been looking forward to seeing Tig in action. I've heard a lot about Tig, and he didn't disappoint. There's a reason why he's a champion within UBW, and he pushed the heavyweight champion right to his very limits. His endurance level, his fighting spirit, plus his capabilities within the ring. Exactly what I'd heard about. Very, very tough competitor, and I was not disappointed in the slightest in what I got to see of him. Fantastic, but he came up short against the man that's everywhere at the moment. He's just getting about. Is Samuel St. Daniels. Companies are loving him. He's such a vastly talented superstar. He plays the heel role so well, but he's so awesomely talented as well. He backs it up. It's just such a great thing to see. And he did what he had to do to retain his title, and there's nothing wrong with that. And he didn't even cheat to win in the end. That spike pile driver was absolutely vicious. He's just got so many moves within him within his moveset that he could just pick up a pinfall victory with, and this is just another one within his arsenal. Anyway, if you ever get a chance to see either of these two fantastic talents in action, thoroughly recommend you do so for yourselves.